The Denver skyline glittered against the twilight sky, but in Elias Thorne's eyes, it seemed like a mirage, hiding a darker reality. He stared at the map covering his living room floor, a chaotic constellation of red string connecting victims, crime scenes, and eerie omens. Each intersection, each cluster of coincidences, was a pinprick on the fabric of a conspiracy he was desperate to decipher. A week ago, his world had been shaken by the brutal murder of Lucy Peterson, found in a vacant lot near the South Platte River, a place known locally as the river's edge. Her death, ruled an isolated robbery gone wrong, was another in a series of unfortunate events that had haunted Denver for years. Yet something about Lucy's case, coupled with the discovery of an old box filled with artifacts from his late father's research, ignited a fire in Elias's belly. The ensuing investigation led him to the city's archives, where he pored over decades of cold cases, seeking a connection in the chaos. His findings were chilling. The South Platte River, a lifeline of Denver's identity, had been staining its banks with blood for years. 7 individuals, young men and women with hopes and dreams, had vanished while taking late-night strolls along its path. Officially, it was a tale of misplaced steps, unfortunate encounters, and careless companions. But Elias saw a different story, one written in the gaps between official narratives. No witnesses, no physical evidence, and most disturbingly, no reported struggle. One moment they were walking, laughing, waving to friends on a nearby balcony, and the next they were simply gone, swallowed by the darkness. Then there were the arsons. 5 historic buildings, symbols of Denver's civic pride, had burned to the ground under equally mysterious circumstances. In each case, the cause was listed as undetermined, perhaps an electrical fault, maybe a careless smoker. Yet Elias noticed an unsettling rhythm. Each fire occurred during a full moon, and each building housed a historical artifact related to Denver's founding. Was it mere coincidence or a calculated choice? But it was the Baker neighborhood that proved most perplexing. Over 3 decades, 6 violent incidents had marred this close-knit community. The first, a brutal assault that left a young woman paralyzed. The second, the slaying of a beloved local historian. The third, the mysterious death of a teenage boy. The fourth, the attempted murder of a police officer. The fifth, the arson of a local bar. And the sixth, a home invasion that resulted in a family's demise. Motives varied according to the police reports: drugs, money, personal grudges. Yet one detail remained constant. In each case, witnesses reported seeing a strange symbol scrawled on walls and doors, a cryptic emblem that Elias would soon recognize as the key to unraveling the city's tangled web of misfortune. Elias wasn't the only one intrigued by these anomalies. Lena Hansen, a retired Denver PD detective, also saw beyond the surface. She remembered the cases from her time on the force, the ones that never quite fit, the shadows lurking at the edge of official narratives. She saw the call coming from Elias, recognizing in him a kindred spirit, a fellow seeker of truth. Their partnership was an unlikely one, a cautious alliance forged in the face of skepticism and fear. Together, they delved deeper, unearthing a trove of disturbing parallels. They found instances of sudden, unexplained illnesses, deaths in suspicious circumstances, and a haunting pattern of inherited tragedy. These weren't isolated events, not freak occurrences. They were chapters in a sinister saga playing out across generations. And then there were the coins. Dozens of 1943 Liberty Head nickels found near crime scenes or slipped into the hands of the bereaved. The coin, a collector's item in itself, became a macabre calling card, a phantom signature left by an unseen perpetrator. But it was the people who fascinated Elias the most. In his quest for answers, he discovered that many of the victims or their families had ties to Denver's founding families, the very individuals whose legacies shaped the city's identity. Elias started noticing subtle, almost imperceptible patterns in how people moved around town, a peculiar layout of streets, an uncanny number of cul-de-sacs, and an unusual design feature in many of Denver's homes. Almost every house featured a basement window, sealed shut and hidden behind overgrown bushes. What were they hiding, Elias wondered, and why were they so meticulously concealed? Their journey took them to the city's oldest cemetery, where headstones bearing the names of Denver's elite stood in solemn rows. Here, amid the silent sentinels of granite and marble, Elias uncovered more connections, more chilling echoes of the past. Some of the deceased were linked to secret societies, their memberships shrouded in secrecy and rumor. Others had been involved in shady land deals, their involvement hidden beneath layers of bureaucratic filings. Yet, amidst the morbid landscape, a glimmer of hope appeared. An aged caretaker, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of whispered stories, spoke of an underground labyrinth beneath the cemetery. Was it a labyrinth of tunnels, or a metaphor for the complex web of conspiracies hiding beneath the city? They followed this thread, leading them to the shadowy realm of Denver's underbelly. There, amidst the maze of back alleys and forgotten basements, they found remnants of a secret society, their insignia bearing a striking resemblance to the enigmatic symbol witnessed at crime scenes. They were getting closer, but with each step into the light, the darkness around them seemed to grow. The city, once a familiar landscape, now felt alien, its streets fraught with danger, its inhabitants harboring secrets. As they pieced together the fragments of evidence, a horrifying picture emerged. The city's misfortunes weren't random. They were orchestrated, each event a carefully placed stone in a sinister design. The true conspiracy, Elias realized, wasn't a grand plan by a single entity, but a parasitic force woven into the fabric of Denver's existence. Ancient, malignant tendrils reaching across generations, pulling the strings of fate, leaving their chilling signature on everything they touched. Yet they pressed on, seeking a deeper understanding. They explored forgotten city archives, finding names that echoed across decades, linking past tragedies to present-day horrors. They navigated labyrinthine trails of inherited secrets, long-dormant grudges, and cryptic wills. It was Lena who stumbled upon the breakthrough. Buried deep in a musty ledger was a record of a ceremonial dagger stolen from the Denver Historical Society, its description matching the symbol from the crime scenes. This wasn't just a robbery, Lena realized. It was a ritual, a sacrifice to awaken something ancient and terrible. Now, atop Lookout Mountain, overlooking the city, they were slowly unraveling. Elias understood. The fires, the disappearances, the attacks, they were all part of a dark tradition designed to appease an insatiable hunger. The dagger, the Liberty nickels, the cryptic messages, they were all pieces of a puzzle, a terrifying narrative that stretched back further than they could imagine. They had uncovered a secret so profound, so unsettling, it threatened to consume them. The conspiracy wasn't a singular plot. It was an insidious force woven into the city's essence, corrupting, possessing, leaving its mark on everything it touched. As the wind whipped around them, carrying the scent of pine and mountain chill, Elias knew their journey had just begun. They were only beginning to understand the depth of the conspiracy, the sheer evil that lurked beneath the shimmering facade of Denver. The city, once a beacon of hope and opportunity, now seemed like a battleground, a war between the forces of light and darkness that had been raging for centuries, and they were caught in the middle, two solitary figures against a backdrop of ancient evil. Yet, despite the terror that gnawed at his insides, Elias couldn't help but feel a surge of determination. He had come too far to turn back now. With each step deeper into the conspiracy, he had put himself on a collision course with forces beyond his wildest nightmares. And as the darkness closed in, he knew that the only way to survive was to keep moving forward, to face the encroaching shadows head-on, and uncover the truth, no matter the cost. For Elias and Lena, the road ahead was perilous, a tightrope walk between sanity and the abyss. But they had each other, a fragile bond forged in the crucible of fear and uncertainty. And perhaps, in their shared determination to expose the truth, they would find the strength to survive the nightmare that awaited them in the heart of Denver's darkest depths.